Okay, all right. I have the Ole Miss Rebels at home, 11 a.m. kick. That'll be the earliest we played so far, so we'll have to be ready for that. When you look at Ole Miss offensively, really the thing that stands out to me is their offensive skill. I think at the receiver, I think they're as good as anybody in the league. I think their quarterback is a guy that can really make things happen when things break down. He has a little Johnny Manziel in him as far as being able to create things on his own. He's a very good athlete. Defensively, Wesley McGriff is our defense coordinator, which is an excellent coach. He was with us last year. Does a super job as far as that goes. And really, I think it'll be a good test for us. I know they had a tough game last week. We are expecting their best. Our guys understand that they are talented, and we've got to be ready to play. And our message has been get better each week. And I think we had a very solid game overall last week, and our challenge has been to continue to get better. And on a side note, one of the all-time Auburn greats, Buddy Davison's going to have his 700 consecutive games. I think that's a really big deal. He's meant a lot to Auburn for a long period of time, really devoted his life to Auburn, so I just kind of wanted to give him a shout out, and I think that's very impressive as far as that goes. So, questions?
You try to rest Cameron Petway as much as you can this week, considering he obviously looks slow in that.
Yeah, I think with him and KJ, we got to be very smart with those guys in practice. We'll see where we're at, as it gets closer to the game. But at the same time, Cam Martin was also, he was banged up going in the last game too. We were able to rest him. I think that's good. But I really expect all the guys, to be ready to play. It's just a matter of, how healthy we can get them before the game starts.
How happy are you with the balance you're seeing offensively right now?
Yeah, we talked about that at the very first, of the season. That was really one of our goals, to be more balanced. And the last 2 weeks we've done that, and we were able to hit some explosive plays in the past game. Really, we were able to play with tempo too, and I think that's a combination that was really good. That we got to continue to build upon those things.
Gus, is there any concern at all that or I guess the better question is, what caused it that you haven't been able to run the ball consistently inside as you have?
Yeah, I think there's a couple factors. One is, we've had a lot of different lineups up front, and the communication and working together in front of each other is very important. I think you will see that continue to improve now that we've kind of got our lineup set up front. We're planning on having that same lineup this week as we did last week, and I think we'll be able to build upon things up front.
Let's go back to that way for a moment. Just how has he been handling this entire first month? Because he had very high aspirations, wanted to set a program record, he said it was a personal goal, and here he's missed the game due to suspension, he's been injured. Just how has he handled personally the last couple of weeks?
He's a competitor. I mean, he hadn't been 100%, any of the games yet, and I know that's been frustrating for him. But we've got to get him healthy, and if we get him healthy, I think he'll be in a good spot.
Does anything surprise you when you look around the league and you see some of the scores, 66-3, y'all's last two SEC scores? Does that reflect maybe a lack of parity in the SEC to you? Or?
I think in our league, each week is unique to itself, and I don't care who you're playing. I think anybody's capable of beating anybody, and some weeks you see the lopsided scores and all that, but I don't think it's lack of parity. I just think it's week to week.
Gus, if you look at right now the top three teams in the league, plus most of the top teams in the country, they're all playing really good defense now. Yeah. Is that something that's kind of going back the other way from where it was a few years ago?
I think it looks that way. I mean, there's the offenses they're so explosive, and everybody's playing with tempo. Everybody's doing spread out stuff, and I think the top defenses are the ones that can handle that. And it looks, as of right now, that just like you said, and I'm very pleased with our defense right now. I think that's is great to have, and I think we can keep building and keep improving.
When you talk about Stephen Roberts, he looks like he's a different player this year.
He really does. He's playing with more confidence. I thought last year, especially the second half of last year, he started playing very good. but he's a senior. He's one of those guys that's been there, done that, played multiple games, experienced, and he's very instinctive, and he's playing with a lot of confidence. I think you see that really all across the defense side of the football. I think they're just playing with a lot of confidence. You know, they're playing very physical.
Talk about his play on the punt when the ball hit Kyle Davis.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate deal as far as hitting one of our players, but he made a very instinctive play. That was a really big play in the game that, you know, that kind of goes unnoticed, but that was a big play.
As you talked about the change in offensive line, and Mike Horton's been locked in at left guard for a young guy. What has he been able to do kind of to be a fixture?
Yeah, I thought he played his best game last week, and you know the experience around him. He was surrounded with two seniors, you know, on either side, and I just think that really helped. And like I've said before, there's nothing better, especially in our league, than experience, especially up front. And the fact that he has two experienced guys on both sides, it definitely helped.
For the defense to be achieving what it is right now, Gus, I mean, you guys lost 4 guys to the NFL last season, arguably your 2 best defensive linemen. As confident as you were about Jeff or Nick Coe and all that, for them to be delivering, at this point, I'm not sure there's a player on your defense who's being billed as like a potential first-round pick other than maybe Jeff. Just for them to be achieving collectively this well without that one uber premier talent at this particular juncture, just what does it speak to how you've been able to do that?
Well, you know, it's really you know, just a team defense. You know, talked about, you know, how you're going to replace Carl, how you're going to replace Mon. Well, the message has been as a collective group, and that's what they've done. And you know, it's been you know, somebody new just about every game. But you know, obviously Jeff, when it's past situations, is really coming on and playing at a high level. But I think it's just more of a unit. The second year with Coach Steele, understanding his expectations, the scheme, and everything that goes with it, and he's allowing our guys to play fast too, and I think that's important.
Gus, you've got 4 wide receivers that are having over 20 yards a catch. What do you feel like that's a product of right now? Is it
Well,
Chip? Is it Jared? Is it all?
You know, I think it's all above, but I think more than anything, it's probably emphasis. You know, that's really what Chip's emphasis has been: more explosive plays, and you know, we've been able to do that the last 2 weeks, and it's really changed everything. So, you know, he'll continue to build upon those things. I think you see our wide receivers starting to grow up and have more confidence, and they're getting more opportunities. And the last 2 weeks, they've seized the moment, and we just need to continue to build upon those things.
You've been a part of a couple of teams here that really sustained a high-level play all season long. And then you've been part of some that had really good stretches but couldn't keep it up. What are the kind of qualities that allow you to be consistent and keep this going?
Well, you know, each year is different, okay, and each team is different. But a lot of it has to do with a team that is able to improve. Very few teams around the country are able to improve each week with the execution and getting better at who they are and what they do. And that's really the formula now. With that being said, the injury factor to impact players. You know, you can handle injuries a lot of times, but if it's your impact players, sometimes that causes you know, that causes a little bit of a lull. But it's about getting better each week, and the teams that we've had that have done that, you know, usually at the end are playing very good.
Yes, can you talk about Devin Barrett in the league? Are they making progress?
Yes, Devin Barrett, you know, I mean, he's really came on. You know, they've given him short roles, and you know, I'm sure that will be added to because he's done a very good job. And Malik, I was very impressed with the way he ran hard, you know, at the end of the game and ran through some tackles and all that. And I think you'll see him more and more as the season goes on.
How did the Prince Tega experiment at tight end go?
Yeah, I mean, you know, just trying to, you know, he's a very talented player, and he just needs experience. And so, you know, that was a plan to play him at a little bit of the heavy set tight end last week, and he did a solid job. And then, you know, he's still getting reps at left tackle. I mean, that's his primary position, and he's going to be a really good one before it's all said and done.
Coach, earlier in the season, you talked a lot about Jarrett Stidham needing games under his belt, you know, not playing for a couple of years, and took a lot of criticism, especially from the media. Just how have you really seen him progress and go through that, and now, you know, playing really, really great this week?
Well, I mean, I think y'all have all seen it. I mean, the very first game, you know, he looked like a guy that hadn't played in a long time, which is to be expected, and that's kind of with all the expectation, I tried to lay the groundwork before the season started that we need to let the guy grow a little bit. We need to let him get some experience before we start really, judging him. And he got better, obviously the second game, that was a very tough experience, for him and everybody. And then the last 3 weeks, you really started to see him kind of get more comfortable and get more of a command of the offense. And so he's been very efficient, and we got to continue that. When we protect him, I think he's got good decision making, and I think he just needs more experience. I mean, he's still like a freshman as far as game experience is concerned, and so we got to keep that in mind. But I've been very impressed with him in the last 3 weeks.
Gus, can you see a time when you would have a package for Malik on a regular basis?
We'll see where that goes and what Chip wants to do with that. It's been good to get Malik in the game the last 2 weeks, and obviously that one explosive run that he made was really something. And so we'll see where that goes and what Chip wants to do with
Going
that.
back to Jared, he's completed like 83% of his passes the last 3 weeks. Did you ever imagine him being able to be that level of efficiency?
That's really, really high. But we knew he's a very talented quarterback when we recruited him. We knew he could throw it, and then obviously, being with him in the spring and fall camp, he's a guy that can make all the throws. But you got to do it against game situations. I mean, really, sometimes it's tough to complete 82 or 83% on air. But he's been able to do that, and that was impressive.
You mentioned Wes McGriff before. This is the first time you're going against a defensive coach who is part of your staff, and is involved changing of signals. But for someone that's that familiar with personnel, that familiar with play calling, that with just the entire system, what goes into making an adjustment like that?
Well, I mean, obviously, he was with our players, and he does know personnel. But some of our guys obviously have improved since last year, and the fact that Chip's calling the plays and we are different in a lot of ways. It's not as like you would think, but he's definitely familiar. I've got a lot of respect for Wesley McGriff. He's an excellent coach. He's an excellent person, and I know he'll have his guys prepared.
I know every coach worries about a letdown game of some sort during the season. I know a few years ago, you had like a Texas A&M team come in here that just gotten blown out by Alabama and then beat you guys. Ole Miss coming off a similar situation where they were blown out. They're coming in.
Yeah.
How do you approach a game like this where the human side of the players are going, they just got blown out. They look like someone.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of what we talked about earlier is each week is unique in its own right, especially in our league. You can't take anything for granted, and we talked about that with our players. Our leaders understand that. You can turn on the film, and you can see they're a talented team. They're very scary on offense with the receivers and the quarterback throwing the ball down the field. Defensively, they run to the football, so we've addressed it. And like we talked about, I mean, the teams that are there at the end, they find a way to get up each week. And but you can't buy into what last week was, not in this league. And we're expecting their best, and that's our approach.
Did you have any concerns about Herb Hand going to that Mizzou game? Did you ever think about telling him just to stay home and have the surgery?
Yeah, I gave him the opportunity. If he needed to stay home, he needed to. I was very concerned. He wanted to go and be a part. He had surgery that next morning, and last week, he took it a little easier than he had in the past. He still did a good job preparing. And this week you can tell he's got his energy back and all that. But it says a lot about Herb that he wanted to be there at the game, and he did a good job that night too. Herb's a tough guy.
Guys, can you speak to Aiden Marshall's recruitment and just how he became a part of this program? Because he's somebody who's kind of showed up on the roster we didn't know anything about. Now he's your starting punter.
Coach Fountain recruited him, for 6 months or so, and knew he was a solid punter, a guy that could come in here and compete. And he's just he's been in the competition, but as of late, he's been very consistent. And I thought he did a very good job the other night. I didn't think the moment was too big, and I thought he did a solid job.
Coach Colton Davis, was that one of the better games you've seen from him?
I think so. I mean, I think he's a guy that you see in practice, and he does that kind of stuff every day. And now that he's healthy this year, I think you're really seeing what he can do, and he's playing with a lot of confidence right now.
Has he also been able to practice? We saw him kind of limping off there late in the fourth quarter. Has he been able to-
Yeah, I think he got rolled up on that one tackle, on that speed sweep that he almost broke, but I mean, he'll practice today.